I fucking hate this movie for so many reasons because it's probably one of the best written Pixar movies ever. It might on you could argue it is the greatest Pixar movie ever made, and I could see it as an argument. It is right up there at Nemo, Toy Story, Cars, all of it. I hold Cars up there because if you're a sports fan, that movie is a fucking masterpiece. All right, if you actually understand sports. The problem is people who don't understand sports will not understand that movie. There are certain things about that movie that are just brilliant. So I just got through watching it once again just to kind of get these reviews. I'm going on a Pixar marathon. I'm going to have an entire playlist of Pixar movies I'm going to review. I'm going to see it through. I'm going to review any Pixar movie that I can. This sucked, by the way. The amount of crying that I've done in the last hour and a half is ridiculous. I mean, from Turning Red all through this shit. You know, you think how many times you watch it, you get used to it, but dude, it's horrible. I mean, to start with this movie, it is one of the most raw, realistic, hurtful movies you could possibly watch for a Pixar movie. To start a movie that's so adventurous and full of life and happiness to then hit you with the dick punch that has to be showing a miscarriage. Yes, people, this is real. Kids aren't going to get it because of the way they portray it. Of course, they show a scene where adults understand what that means, but kids aren't going to understand. They just know that she's sad. They're going to be basically, well, what happened to the kid? Us adults, while we're sobbing in our chairs, trying to hide it from the kids so the kids don't freak the fuck out, we're like, uh, we sometimes a stork doesn't pick them. Meanwhile, there's a Pixar movie about a stork delivering kids. You have no idea how much I want to put my head through a wall with that concept. I hate it. It spits in the face of what Pixar to me should be about, and that's more realism. All right, don't be putting no stork up in there. Yes, it's a movie about a stork delivering kids. I almost want to put my head through a wall. Anyways, um, it goes from that to then you see. Oh shit! I'm sorry. Fresh off a crying, I gotta clear my shit. Hold up. I thought I gave myself enough time before this review. My bad. Anyways, you see kind of where you kind of see where a lot of things are done with this movie, right? Like sorry, I minced my words. You kind of see where this movie's kind of going with just the sad opening, and you kind of understand where where these characters are at. Like Carl losing Ellie was hard. It's hard. I mean, this woman he loved. This was his. That was like the only love he's ever loved since childhood. They've been together for forever. And I ain't gonna lie, it's bad enough after the miscarriage. It's pretty fucking bad. For me, what sucks is when she gets right when you get to the scene when they're older, and before you see, she's the adventurer. She's the one running around, and Carl can't keep up because that's what makes it so awesome. When they were married, she freaking like tackled him and bent him down to kiss him when it's usually the other way around when the guy, bends the woman down to kiss, and that's usually the traditional way, but that wasn't what happened. You could always tell that was the case. You couldn't keep up with Ellie until one day Ellie couldn't keep up with Carl. And it was cruel. Because not only did they kind of write it like that, sorry, I'm a little still emotional about it. You write it in a sense where he literally is about to fucking sit there and actually take her on that trip to the falls that she always wanted. And they promised on that shit as kids. That's why this sucks. It's cruel, but it's perfectly cruel. Like it's phenomenally well written to where it's cruel. It crushes you because you're like, wow, for a Pixar movie, that's fucked up. And the image of him sitting uh, right, right near her casket, it's horrible. Like it's horrible. It's actually just soul crushing. So I understand why Carl had nothing left. I mean, fuck. Also, there's another now to get onto the more my soapbox stand part about this movie about fucking how this country tries to take everything from people who build shit. Sorry, I'm still emotional. It's hard to talk about because the imagery with us ADHD types, we visualize everything. So while I'm talking, the scene's playing through my head, and it's fucking heart wrenching. Sorry, it sucks. I don't want to replay this in my head. Sorry, trying to stay off of a cough too. So when you're watching this shit, it hurts. It gets kind of worse in a way. There are a few scenes that bother me. First off, them trying to take this man's house. He built this house. This is his house. If he doesn't want to sell, too fucking bad. Wait till he's dead. And that's kind of what he says, along the lines of, you can have this house when I'm dead. But, you know, they're doing construction because, unfortunately, just because you feel like your life stops, the real world doesn't stop. Building, construction, all of it keeps going. And they're trying to push this man out. He's like, it's the one house left. And it's literally a house that's in between a bunch of construction. It's amazing. It's the scenery. I know this because this is real life. It's happened down in where I used to, you know, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I know what this is. It's horrible. You want to revitalize an area, but you destroy everyone else's lives for it. You know what I mean? So, with all of that, how horrible this is, you know, and it's horrible. God, talking about this movie sucks. He has to see, they're trying to vacate him out of the premise, and they want to find any excuse. The sorry part for Carl is he has a very normal reaction to me with what he's going through to a few things. So, fuck, let me gather myself. My bad. So, he's very sentimental, clearly. I mean, he lost Ellie. He is very possessive onto his things. The fact is, one thing you're gonna notice in this film is what he says. This is our mailbox. This is our. Ellie's no longer there, but he's saying this is our, because in his mind, Ellie is still possessing that house. It's still, the spirit of Ellie is still with him, and he says our mailbox because he isn't ready to let go of the fact that, you know, he lost Ellie. It's horrible. So for him, he's like, it's still our house. It's still this. So that's one thing I picked up on when, like, you know, one of the construction guys who's trying to, you know, nudge him on getting the house, like selling the house, which isn't going to happen. And he's just like, yeah. And you could tell what Carl is like, yeah, I don't like you touching my mailbox. He doesn't like the mailbox being dusty. He doesn't like the mailbox being messed with. This is an old mailbox that's dingy, but it's because it's their mailbox. They painted that mailbox. They put their handprints in paint on that mailbox. It means something to Carl because that's what he has left. So so the next day after this whole thing, I could go into the introduction of Russell, which is hilarious. There have been many discussions on how Russell was introduced in this movie, many theories. Sorry, I don't know why I'm being hit with this. Shut the fuck up. I don't even know why. I don't have that many pictures out there to begin with. Sorry, choking up here. Russell gets introduced, and people have this theory that it's Ellie. Ellie introduced Russell. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Ellie sent Russell. Almost. As a way to kind of give Carl a reminder of what made of adventure. You know? And unfortunately, you know, the beginning is of course like, you know, it's of course going to be hard because, you know, he's a crotchety old man, he doesn't have anything left, and he's heartbroken. So he's like, get the fuck off my house. And then well, there are a few instances you can see that the adventure is still in him, where he poured like a bunch of fucking, I think, prune juice, something down the fucking dude that's trying to, you know, take his house away from him. He poured it down his car. He put it in his gas tank. It's hilarious. And you can tell with the little laugh he made. I'm like, the adventure is still in him. The lie he told Russell to get him off his porch to say, there's a spike. There's I don't know what the fuck he called the bird. A spike? Whatever. Go find this bird, right? That bird will later be Miss Kevin. and Russell, being a kid, believed the dumb shit and thought he would go hunt the bird. Russell decided to hunt the bird, you know? So the next day, unfortunately, though, it's kind of where this is some really sad shit. So, long story short, construction's moving in, the fucking steamroller's coming in, and they hit the mailbox. And Carl freaks out, like, you're breaking my fucking mailbox. Again, sentimentality. And the construction worker, not knowing any better, is trying to take the mailbox away so they can just dispose of it. But Carl's like, no, leave me my mailbox. I want it. No, let your hands off of it. Carl loses it, takes his cane and bashes the guy's head. They show blood in this, by the way. When I tell you this movie's real, that always draws my eye. Wow, they use blood. And I still get surprised watching it. I've watched this movie multiple times, so, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, like this movie, the people who wrote this really wanted you to feel a lot, because this is a lot of people's stories, you know, just in America alone. Always look at your grandparents or some shit and ask them about certain things like this. They know. So, beyond that, my bad. Anyways. So, it's hard to talk about this movie, especially after doing it. It's just an emotional thing, because I understand what they were going for in this movie, and it really sucks for how good, because it's just so good. So yeah, Carl goes to court, and I guess they order him to go to a fucking home. It's depressing, but yeah, Carl, he sits in his chair the last night, and it's a very sad scene. But he looks at Ellie's picture and he goes, and what they did was cross their heart, hope to die, for the promise, because the promise was we're going to what was it, like something falls somewhere in the South American rainforest, right? Excuse me. I call it like Split Falls. But anyways. And she said, promise, cross your heart, hope to die. You better promise. And he did. And that's when he kind of fell in love with her as a kid. And he always kept that promise. So he does that little cross thing. So that's when he's going to go get the balloons. Yeah, he's... you actually pay attention throughout the thing. He's... when they worked at the zoo, because that's, of course, the adventurer's tale, working with animals, of course. The balloons, like Carl would fill the balloons up for the kids. And he always had a thing for balloons. He was carrying around a balloon as a kid, so just something that he's always been into. So he gets the balloons, fills them with helium, and the whole goal here is to basically fuck over everyone and say, no, you're not taking my house. Yeah, I'm just gonna... You guys know the movie, so I'm just reviewing it for the fuck's sake. I kind of just fast forward this shit anyways, guys. I'm not trying to make these reviews too in depth. Let's just move along. So... yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, right? And what gets me is the fact there's a few scenes that make me laugh. So, you know, he's up in the air and everything. He gets a knock at the door. I find it funny that he's not, like, bewildered by the fact there's a knock at the door going, why the fuck is someone in, like, because that house is up, like, damn near to the clouds, all right? And you're thinking, why is there... well, my first thought would be, why the fuck is there a knock at the door? But Carl hears it, he's like, whatever. Then he hears it again, he's like, oh God, who is it? I'm like, you're not more alarmed by the fact that there's someone on your porch thousands of feet up in the fucking air? Of course, as we all would guess, it's Russell. This scene makes me laugh because he goes, please let me in. And freaking Carl goes, no. And slams the door. Then a few seconds later, because, again, it's the adventurer, the jokester that he is, because it's still in him, no matter what. He goes, well, okay, come in. Russell's annoying. He touches out all of Carl's shit. One thing I clocked in this movie is how Carl is very possessive of his stuff, because it's, to him, Ellie. He doesn't like you messing with his shit. It's all about, you know, because that's what he and his wife used to share. As you will pay attention, there are two seats in that movie that matter. It's Ellie's chair and Carl's chair. Carl always sits in his chair. Nothing ever sits in Ellie's chair. He keeps it pristine. That's the point. I want you guys to pay attention to stuff like that right when you're watching this movie. There's a lot of stuff. Carl is so infatuated with his stuff to hang on to Ellie as possessions, you know, like he hang on to possessions because one thing he has left of Ellie. You see he's lost sight of what made the relationship special was the adventure. Not the possessions, the adventure, but we'll get into that later. It's hard to do a review when you're choking the fuck up, man. Those writers wrote a masterpiece. It is a masterclass of a movie, no joke. It's not just a good Pixar movie. It's a phenomenal movie. So anyways, you're seeing that when you're watching it the whole time. And do understand, this is a movie that, again, you have to be, you got to be willing to understand the emotions are going to come with it if you understand a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of things that you're going to maybe miss in the first viewing when you're crying through the fuck out of it. So for people who are the first time watching it, I warn you, you're going to cry a lot. You're going to miss a few things. So you can tell he's very possessive of his stuff, all these other things. And with Russell, one thing you get a very clear thought of, Russell was sent down here for Carl because Russell's basically like Ellie. Russell's a little adventurer. All he wants to do is be an adventurer. One thing you get about Russell, though, is Russell's had a shit life. His dad's a fucking deadbeat sack of shit that don't do nothing. I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little bit angry about this. His dad sucks. His dad is a useless bum. His dad is a douchebag. Okay, I'm done talking. Poor little kid. All he wants is his dad. Fuck you. I'm sorry if I get a little bit angry about that. I hate motherfuckers that don't. I'm great. I'm very, very blessed to have my dad in my life because I can't imagine how some of y'all can cope with some of that shit. Jesus Christ. That scene just draws a chord with me because it's just so fucking, it's heartless. Shit like that. I do take that personally because I'm like, I know kids that went through shit like that. I know dudes that went through shit like that. So, yeah. Anyways, you can see that he never went camping. This is a Boy Scout trying to be a senior Boy Scout. And you never even went camping because your dad's a fucking useless piece of shit. And then the scene that really hits me hard because you can tell Carl's not picking up on the fact that this kid needs someone. He needs a relationship with someone. He needs a father figure. He's going, and he goes like, "Oh, what about your mom?" He goes, "Your mom should be doing it." And he goes, because then he says this woman's first name, it was Sheila. And then he goes, "How do you call your mom by your first name?" And he goes, "Sheila's not my mom." And it all clicked for him. He's going, "Oh." What I think people don't understand is I think the kid's adopted. I don't know. I have a lot of theories on what Russ is. I think he's adopted. I don't know. I have to figure that out. But I think he's adopted. That's all I'm going to say. Actually, no. Oh, shit. It's even worse. You know what? I just picked up on it. His dad's a fucking fuck up. It's probably, if you think about it, now that I understand as an adult, he's a fuck up. Oh, shit. He's like probably an addict or some type. And she's like from child service. Oh, it's even worse. Yo, that sucks. Okay, yeah, that's even worse. Now I get it. Okay, that seems even way worse than I thought. Okay, wow. All right, sorry, I had to gather myself for a minute going, oh, this movie's just evil. So anyways, they're trying to get to the falls. They got there. The problem is with the house is there's only so much helium can do. Helium's going to run out in a matter of time, right? And with the fact that it's a fucking house, it's going to weigh down eventually when the helium starts running out. So Carl is basically like, okay, we're going to have to walk this house all the way through the South American jungle or forest, what the fuck you want to call it at this point, and get to the falls to get that house there to keep his promise. And Russ, trying to get this helping the elderly badge, says, I will help you do this shit. And in comes characters that we all love. Dude, I fucking love these two little characters. I mean, you always get cute little animalistic characters in Pixar films half the time, but Doug and Kevin are awesome. I love Kevin. I know it's a she, but we all call her Kevin because Russ called her Kevin. So she's Kevin. Kevin is, I don't know what you call it, a peacock roadrunner. I don't know what the fuck you call it. We're going to call her we're going to call her well, fuck it. We'll call her the beautiful roadrunner. She's a roadrunner to me. I'm just going to call it what she is. She's a fucking roadrunner. She's being chased by a bunch of dogs. Those dogs, we'll talk about in a minute. But they have collars on them and they let them talk. This is so fucking off-putting. Anyways, they go along the trail, and what I love about this is the fact that Russ wants to have Kevin and lead her on eventually to find her kids, and of course Carl's like, no, I don't want to do this shit. I'm trying to get the game. And this is kind of one of the things I'm talking about. Ellie would be the first one to go, hell yeah, we're taking the fucking animals, let's go. Because that's what an adventurer does. That's what Ellie does. Ellie loves animals. That's the whole point. So seeing the fact that, and I love this scene, like he's arguing with Carl, and the little shit fucking Russ is like, oh, he's calling his house Ellie. Well, Ellie said I could do this. And then Carl looks back at the house and goes, but I said he couldn't, because naturally he already knows Ellie will be the first one to say, no, you're taking the animals. Because he knows Ellie loves animals. She's an adventurer. It's the adventurer's code. You're taking the fucking animal. You're keeping Doug. You're taking Kevin to her kids. It's just gonna happen that way. And of course, Carl would oblige. But Carl is so hyper-focused on keeping his promise, he's missing out on what Ellie really wanted the whole time. Again, you're going to get to that point. Sorry I'm choking up already because I already know what I'm going to say when I say it. So, run through my head. God, this is the most emotional review I've done. So anyways, you pick up on these things. Like, so obviously he's missing out on what makes adventures. Eventually, they keep walking along, and he's trying to lead the house along, and they're on the path, and it's kind of leading to Kevin's kids, blah, 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 blah. And, unfortunately, that Kevin's still being hunted. Who they're being hunted by, well, we'll talk about in a minute. Fuck. 95% done with this cold. So, they get tracked down eventually by those stupid dogs because, unfortunately, Doug is being tracked. Doug, being the cute little dog he is, isn't a killer like the other ones. He is just trying to hang on to the bird. The alpha of the dogs basically tracks him down, pins Doug down, and says, where's the fuck is the bird? Right before it, and Kevin went to go find her kids, but Kevin realized this was a trap. So Kevin went up on top of the house that they were walking this whole time. The dogs basically say, and they have collars that let them speak. Again, off-putting as shit. They go, no, you're coming with us. You're going to meet our master. Their master, when they get there, is actually Carl's childhood hero that got him into being an adventurer in the first place. Him and Ellie. It's really cool. Because at this scene, and what gets me is the fact that you see the joy and jubilation that makes Carl. He loves being a fucking adventurer. He loves it. You see the love and the joy in this shit. You see like he's kind of back to being like a goofy kid again. Because you get to meet his hero. Until you realize his hero's batshit insane, hell-bent on fucking taking his bird dead or alive to prove a point because everyone called him a fraud for making up the fact that there was a roadrunner species that looked like this. As he sewed a skeleton of that roadrunner species. Hell-bent on keeping a promise. There are two sides to this coin of demented behavior here. All with the best of intentions. You also see the pilot caps of other adventurers that happen to be probably protecting that bird. And you start to get a picture of what's going on here. Makes it very clear about stories that were told to him. This crazy motherfucker. I forgot his name in the movie. I'm not going to go look it up. I'm too lazy. So, Carl picks up really quick what the fuck's going on right now. And he goes, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So they bust Kevin out of there. Kevin gets hurt. You see blood on Kevin's leg. I'm not lying. This is a very sad scene. But you see the adventurer that's his Carl. Carl's trying to save that bird. And that's actually what Ellie would want him to do. It matters. That's what being an adventurer is. You have to keep to the code of saving that damn bird. Doug helps break them out. And then they all are on the run. The problem is Doug is being tracked by his caller. Because, right. They track them down. Old crazy motherfucker with his giant ass blimp. Yes, it has a giant blimp. It's pretty sick. Tracks them down, like I said. And, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, he nets Kevin. And so Carl and Russell are trying to free Kevin. Unfortunately, this man pretty much knows his play here. He has a lantern. So he has a lantern right with him. So he throws a lantern at the house that, again, is being dragged by... This entire movie, these two are dragging a house held by helium balloons. It's pretty sick if you think about it. He throws the lantern at the house, which sets the house on fire, which is, going to set the house on fire. Carl has two choices here. One, free Kevin and let the house go on fire, or B, go and try to move the house and make sure it doesn't get on fire with, because it's on helium balloons. One would think you should choose the bird that you should save because he chooses the house, guys. Let's be honest. He's so hyper focused on his goal. This is a really sad scene. Honestly, this is the shit kind of made me sad. He goes, like, after it's all over and they take Kevin, Russell's like, why? Like, you could have saved Kevin, but you didn't. Russell's not understanding. Russell is not at that age to understand certain things. So he doesn't understand why would you do something like that. Because Kevin doesn't understand why Carl's lost his love for adventure. Why you've lost doing what was right. Because he's so trying to keep this promise because he thinks it's the only thing he has left in this world. So he basically says, with or without your help, I'm dragging this fucking house and I'm completing my mission, goddammit. So that's what they do. It's the house down. Russ, this is a sad scene for me. Russ takes off his SAS badge, basically giving up on all this, goes, I don't want this anymore, because he's like, if we can't even say, like, we just let that bird go like that, then I don't see the point in any of this shit no more. I want the fucking badge at this point. And this is right. And also, he did yell at Doug too and said he's a bad dog. That shit hurt my feelings. I hated that. So he goes in the house, right? Carl's like feeling like, damn, I got here, but I don't really feel great about it. And he sees the adventure book. Now, I didn't talk about the adventure book earlier in the review. Bring it up now. This book is where they kind of cataloged everything they've done together. That book was his first book as a kid. I think it was her book, actually. I can't remember which. But they cataloged everything. They're going to go do this, go do that, go do this. And then, sorry, I'm kind of choking up right now because the scene really is one of the most emotional scenes. So, for me, it sucked. It's a really hard scene because I understand exactly how it all ties in perfectly. Carl never looked at that book since Ellie died. It's clear. So he's reading it, and he gets to a certain point where it says things we're going to do. And he can't do it. He can't flip the page. He's about to close the book, but naturally the page kind of flips over, and he naturally sees something that catches his eye, and he sees pictures of Ellie and him when they're married, when they're doing this, doing that. And you start to... I'm sorry. You start to get a sense. It's not about what you're going to do. It's not about going to the fucking falls. She was just happy. That was the point. He never understood that because Carl always felt like he failed Ellie. Give me a minute. I'm sorry. Give me a minute. He always felt like he failed Ellie. He did. So when he's flipping through the book and he's starting to pick up on the fact that Ellie loved him because Ellie's adventure was just with him, no matter what. And in the corner, in this, trying to keep myself composed. This shit makes me lose it every fucking time. I don't care how many times I watch this movie. I always cry because it's fucking so well written. She goes, I had my adventure. Go have a new one. Because in reality, people who deal with loss, people who lose someone, your spouse never wants you to sit there and settle. They don't want you to be frozen in pain. They want you to move. They want you to find life. And Ellie never wanted that for Carl. So it hit. Sorry, it's such a fucking good scene. You know? It's such a good scene. Oh, it's not the second of 3 times you start sobbing in this movie. And sorry, give me another fucking minute. God, I'm a softie for this fucking movie. I'm sorry. I could be unempathetic about a lot of shit in my life right now. I could literally tell some people to go fuck themselves right in their fucking face. But I'll be damned. I will be damned, my nigga. I will be damned if this movie does not make me fucking sit there sobbing every single fucking time. I don't care how many times I watch it. It gets me. Sorry to anyone who watches this review. It's a very emotional movie. I understand. So, I'm being a softy bitch about it. I understand. It's hard. It's such a well-written movie that, God damn it, fucking hits. So she goes, like I said, the whole point of this was Ellie's adventure was with Carl, and Carl had to realize, bro, the adventure is just that. Ellie didn't want you to get her to the falls. You already got her to the falls the whole time. You just didn't know it. So, oh, fuck. Sorry, guys. This is a really, really emotional part. Okay, fuck. Gotta compose myself. Good Lord. It sucks for me because, again, like I said, I have ADHD. I visualize this scene. So as I'm describing it, I'm visualizing it. And it's really, really a fucking emotional scene. So, yeah. So, Carl gets his adventure back. He's like, holy fuck. Let's go save that goddamn bird. Russell, by this point, is on the roof with the leaf blower that Carl made famous by blowing it in a what's it I can't think of the words. In a construction worker's face, takes it, ties a bunch of helium balloons to him because the laws of physics in this movie make no goddamn sense. Uses it to propel himself into the air to go track down, somehow find in the air, I don't know how the kid did it, and track down the, what's it called? The big fucking blimp that's holding Kevin with that whack job old man. Sorry if I'm just like a little bit fucking, yeah, just trying to get this review, okay? It's been a very emotional review for me. So, Carl's like, okay, I gotta go get the kid. This scene is so great. There's a few things that are very symbolic about this scene that make this such a great movie, okay? This is so well written. First, the fact that you could see like the way that Carl's mood changes instantly when he sees Doug. Oh, wow, it's just so adorable when Doug's on the goddamn porch with his little ears down and all this, and he goes, I hit under the porch and I got scared. Because, again, talking collar. And then he goes, and then he goes, I know you don't want me. You see me. And then Carl's like, no, I want to see you. Come in here right now. He goes, really? and he says, "You're my dog, aren't you?" It's a really good scene because it's acceptance of who Carl is. A fucking adventurer. Only an adventurer would take fucking a dog with a talking collar for no apparent reason. So took him in, said, let's go fucking save the kid and save the goddamn bird. Problem is, the house is kind of way down, and I don't know if you have enough helium to do all this shit. And he tried to move the house up slightly because, again, it's tied to helium, so you could slightly move it, maybe, who knows. But he couldn't do it. So in frustration, he throws a chair. And then it dawned on him. Empty the house. Realistically, I don't know if any old man could do what this man just did, but fuck it. He threw everything in the house out of the house. But it's a very fitting scene because the house was tied down by possessions. Carl was tied down by his possessions because he couldn't let go of Ellie. He just couldn't let go of the fact she's gone. He has to move on and he has to live for her. He couldn't do it. So it's very symbolic of the fact that he threw out all of the possessions that he had in there that he cherished. Because he's finally not going to be tied down like this house is to the fucking ground. He's not going to be tied down to any of this stuff no more. And the last thing you see is the 2 chairs. He even threw out the 2 chairs he cherished the most. The 2 chairs they sat in. Because he had to do what he had to do. The writers did such a great job of just symbolism in itself. Such a phenomenal scene. I understood exactly what he did there. I loved it. And, as an adventurer would, he flies the goddamn fucking house to go save Russ and Russ and Kevin. I would go in detail everything that happens here, but honestly, I don't think there's any point, and I've cried about enough through this damn review, okay? So fuck you. Basically go in, Russ is almost gonna die. Russ doesn't die because, Carl saves him. Doug becomes alpha somehow because he outsmarts the alpha dog because the alpha dog's a dumbass. He becomes alpha. I don't know how. Whatever. Cool. There's like fucking dogs flying, like airplanes. No joke. And they all like crash because Russ yelled at them and yelled the word squirrel because dogs are like infatuated with squirrels. Because why not? Squirrel. Whatever. Anyways, through all that shit, right? The old man fight is gold because the 2 old men are trying to fight and they really can't because back pain, all that shit. Sorry, coughing. So, whatever, basically they save the bird. They save Kevin, okay? They save Kevin. They keep the blimp apparently, and the old man and the psycho ass old fuck dies with balloons tied around his ankle. He fucked around and found out. That dude was shooting guns, man. This movie is fucked up. He's shooting a rifle. He's gonna try and kill kids. He's gonna try and kill a kid. So he's crazy. But luckily, Russ and Kevin got out because they crashed through the window of the house. So here's how the scene went. Okay, the house was like tied off on the side of the blimp, right? And because it's held by helium, so you could do this shit. Carl was holding it by the hose that was attached to the house because there's a rubber hose with the hose wheel attached to the house. So he's holding onto it for dear life, trying to make sure Russ doesn't fucking like doesn't fall down with the house because the house is gonna sink. Anyways, it's on helium and the helium's running out, so the house is going to naturally sink down at some point. Old man, he's holding it up, and the psycho old man says, "Okay, if I can't just kill your ass," which I don't logistically would make sense to just take the gun and shoot Carl, wouldn't it? Well, I forgot he wanted the bird, right? Because the bird's in there, so he has to get the bird out of there. So he goes in there, goes to the bird, right? He just needed the bird dead or alive. He didn't care. He just needed to show proof that the bird existed, so he wouldn't be a fraud. Again, whack job. Anyways, they go out the side window, right, and jump out. And the old man tries to as well with them, but he doesn't really catch on to anything, and then he goes down. and he gets what he deserves. Fuck him. At the end of the hose, after the hose snaps off from the house, and the house is basically gonna float down somewhere. Russ, Kevin, and Doug are hanging onto the hose and and Russ is like, "Man, this is awesome." And fucking what's it? Carl's like, "Yeah, don't hang on there too long, kid. Come on up." And Russ, knowing that the house meant something to Carl, kind of finally understands and goes, "Sorry about your house, man." Carl's like, "It's just, kid, it's just a house." Because he realized the house wasn't what made Ellie special. It was Ellie. His memories with Ellie were what are special. So he's completely comfortable with the idea of that house going away. That's why it's such a great scene, dude. It's such a good scene because it shows that Carl, it's symbolic. I'll say it's symbolic because Carl at that moment let go of Ellie. He finally let her go and finally he can move on with his life, is what she wanted. So, yeah. It's great finality. Then they settle down, and you can see that they found Kevin and her babies, and they're actually playing along with the babies. It's a really cute scene. And then Kevin basically does the caca and then says, "We got to go." And then I love this scene because it's shows you the adventurer and Carl's back. And they both go, "Aww," because they like playing with the kids. And that was a really nice, cute scene. Also, they ate Carl's walker. Spit it up. The tennis balls oddly were missing from the bottom because a lot of old people would put tennis balls on the end of their walkers for grip and comfort or whatever, scratching floors. I don't know. I don't know the reason. Well, the baby Kevin's ate the balls too and spit up, and he's like, "You know what? Keep it. My gift to you. I don't care what you do with it." They run off into the forest, and then and that's the end of Kevin and the babies, and I'm happy to so they're safe, whatever, all that shit. But it's a very cute scene. And now we only have one last act of crying like a little bitch for me, because there's also one last fucking scene that's just gonna make you tear up at the end. Just a little bit. No, you can actually sobbed. I sobbed watching this shit. This shit fucked me up. It was so well done though. So Russ gets to his ceremony all dirty and shit, like he went through a war, because kind of did, to get his badge. Now, this scene is so emotional for a lot of reasons. Carl comes to ceremony. Because the kid's dad wasn't going to be there because his dad's a complete fuck up, like we referenced earlier. The caseworker was there, the social worker. I'm going to just say it. We're just going to say it. The child services social caseworker, whatever the fuck you want to call it. She was there. Right. But he wasn't. So Carl stepped in and then handed him a very important badge. Sorry. Only 2 more moments, goddammit. Fuck. He goes, "For assisting the elderly and acting above and beyond." This is important because this is the one thing he always wore on his jacket. It was like the first thing they ever really had, I think. It was I think she has a badge it's a badge that she made out of literally a grape soda can cap. No joke. Something so cheap and just throwable, but it means everything to him. He gave it to Russ. He goes, "For actions above and beyond, I give you the most important badge, the Ellie badge." So that hit you right there. That was phenomenal. The character development of possessiveness to then giving to the next generation, giving on to have her legacy live on like that. That's phenomenal. It may not mean a lot to some people, but I understand what that meant. And that was actually a really sentimental scene. I like that scene for that reason. It showed the character development very well, and it was emotional. Again, this movie hits a chord with me because you hope to one day have something like that. You do. Because it gives you hope in life. To have fun like that, have adventure like that, to have something. We're all so cynical and jaded, man. Like, I'm so jaded that this is a movie that makes me forget about that sometimes, and it gives me that hope. That's why this movie is emotional to me. I love this movie. So, at the end of it, they're playing red car, blue car, because Russ referenced this earlier in the movie where he liked to do that game. And they're clowning around, and freaking he calls out a fire hydrant in his red car, and he's like, and Russ is like, "You're cheating." He's like, "Yes, I need my glasses checked." Ah, funny. And you see the blimp is right behind them, above this fucking restaurant, right above the restaurant they're eating. Actually, an ice cream shop that they're eating from, because they're eating ice cream at the end with Doug. I'm glad they kept Doug, by the way. And they got the fucking blimp right above them. They go into the clouds. At the end of this movie, you think you're done crying. You think it's finally over. You can finally stop crying. God damn. And they kick you right in the dick. Because they show right on top of the falls. The house. Ellie made it to the falls. And that's how you write a movie. That's how you fucking get someone to cry at the end of a movie. Because goddamn, dude, I was done. I was like, oh, thank God. And then I'm sitting there crying at the end of the movie going, what the fuck? He got her there. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. Even doing a review of this movie is painful. I've seen people do reactions to this movie. There are 30 to 40 plus videos of people crying to this movie on live reaction. And I would think they're acting, but they're not. There's just no fucking way you can't sit there and cry at this movie. I just think you have to be one cynically jaded motherfucker to not open your eyes to how good this movie was well written. Or you've just been dumped on your fucking life, and maybe the fucking fact that, you know what, I'm not going to be a dick about it. I don't think there's really anyone that can't understand the sentimentality of this movie. God, I almost went an hour for this shit. I got more Pixar movies to go, by the way, which is going to fucking suck. Oh, shit. Wow. That one sucked. God, I am sorry for everyone that's going to hear me blubbering on about this, but the sentimentality of this movie is just fucking phenomenal for me. It's not just sentimentality, it's the way it's written. It's so beautifully written. How does someone write a movie like that well? And it makes you kind of remember being a hopeless romantic when you're younger. It makes you have that hope when you weren't cynically jaded like you are kind of now. It also makes you kind of remember, life should be more beautiful than the way people kind of don't let it be. You know what I mean? Like, we take life for granted sometimes. And I think for a lot of us, we don't understand how beautiful it can be. That's just my food for thought on that. I want to thank you guys for watching this review. I have a lot more reviews. I was going to leave YouTube. I thought about it, but I've always wanted to do the Pixar project where I would review all the Pixar movies that I can. This one was a dick punch, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to go to sleep or some shit and then stop after I stop crying like a bitch, because I don't like to show vulnerability too much when it comes to me, but I will for Pixar movies because, dude, they're fucking so good. A lot of them. I'm going to get an easy one. I'm going to do Cars. I think that'll be something that's more enjoyable. I can't do this again. I cannot cry. I need a break between crying like a bitch. I'm going to go through Cars. Nemo I could do. I might tear up a little bit through that, but it's never this bad. But yeah, Up. This one's horrible. I'm telling you, search Up reactions. It's fucking Tear City. Tear City. Straight the fuck up. All right? Also, fuck Avatar. I like to just say that too. I don't know why I'm randomly thinking about that, but I forgot they got me with the live action remake, Avatar Last Airbender. Not live action remake. Well, the live action, whatever. The live action show they make on Netflix. Fuck y'all for Leaves on the Vine. Fuck y'all for that. That was fucked up. God damn, that scene was fucked up. You're sitting there watching the show, right? And all of a sudden, you see that they're doing Lieutenant Junior, like, they wouldn't. Because you knew it was coming. You're like, they're about to play Leaves on the Vine and fucking make us all want to fucking jump out of a window. And there it was. They played Leaves on the Vine. Fuck them for that. Making me tear bend like a bitch. Anyways, I'm done with that. Oh, fuck James Gunn too. You fucking sick fuck. Yeah, Guardians 3, still, like, another tear fest. Jesus Christ, dude. You know what sucks about being cinematically driven? You actually feel this shit. I hate it. I don't know how y'all do. I don't know how some of these motherfucking writers do it, because this is depressing. Anyways,